All right. Good morning, Tuberovsky. This is a continuation of my genocide discussion on what it is not. I went at some length before over the case of Cambodia as an example of the term's misuse. That atrocity and crimes against humanity are not equivalent to genocide, that it has a strict scientific definition of biological extermination together with the legal one of intent. There are other examples of its misleading and inappropriate use, engendered for political reasons for the most part, that I'm going to raise now. One of these is mass expulsion of socially or politically inconvenient groups, or ethnic cleansing as it came to be called in the 1990s. A century earlier, in the American South, it was called bulldozing, so it's by no means some new phenomenon. Examples of ethnic cleansing are the forced expulsion of the 5 civilized tribes of the American Southeast by President Andrew Jackson, the expelling of 250,000+ Arabs from British Mandate Palestine in the War for Israel's founding, and Slobo Milosevic's expulsion of ethnic Albanians in Kosovo, now Kosovo, in 1999. There was a high mortality rate and atrocities perpetrated, but no attempt at mass extermination. But one such expulsion case that did evolve into genocide was that of the Armenians from Anatolia by the Turks in 1915, where many were deliberately executed en masse with the stated purpose of wiping them out, as revealed in war crimes trials after World War I. Another false use of genocide is applying it to genetic amalgamation, or interbreeding or intermarriage, whatever you want to call it, to ethnic nationalists, as in Germany or European nations in general, South Africa. It was called race suicide, but the genetic material is not, in fact, lost. It's merely diluted, if you want to call it that. It's still possible for descendants to exist, even if not as pure as their grandparents might like. So it too is not genocide. Cultural nationalists also like the term cultural genocide to describe the assimilation of one people into another. This is by definition nonsense, as cultural identity is not a genetic trait, and the culture being lost is usually an earlier amalgam in its own right. This doesn't justify it. The swallowing of minorities can create much social and political pressure and even physical pain. But, as in the case of Soviet Jews, was not genocide, despite the hype of a 7th million alluding to the Holocaust. Sometimes amalgamation works the other way, where the language and culture remains long after the conquerors have been biologically assimilated, as in the case of the Spanish conquest of Mexico, or the Arab conquest of Egypt. Even a false concept like cultural genocide can't apply when the dominant group's identity lives on in its subjects long after their amalgamation. Sometimes genocide is applied in the wake of natural disasters, like the famines of Ireland or Ukraine or Ethiopia. The root cause in all these cases were massive crop failures caused by too much rain or not enough of it, along with entrenched poverty and overpopulation to resources in a given area. Bad state management was certainly the additional factor that tipped the scales to mass starvation. But nationalists in Ireland and Ukraine and tribal rebels in Ethiopia insisted and still insist today on the genocide label for political reasons as a political weapon to use against longtime national adversaries. These tragedies have come to define these nations, used and misused in the same way as the Holocaust. In Ukraine, it is now a state crime to deny the Golodomor, meaning the Great Hunger, as the Irish famine is also called, as a conscious act of genocide, even though there is no proof that it was such, with an accompanying attempt at statistical parity with the Jewish Holocaust, again for political reasons, to counter much stronger evidence of Nazi collaboration in the Holocaust by Ukrainian nationalists. Now, I've gone at some length over what genocide is not. This will lead you, I hope, to the rightful conclusion that genocide is in practice fairly rare, if we apply the word in the strict biological and legal meaning. It is the attempt to erase the existence of a group of people so that there is no living biological trace of them. Cultural forgetting and disappearance is usually a corollary of this, but not necessary. As in the case of American Indians east of the Mississippi, the Algonquin name for Great River, and of course the Holocaust itself. But genocide is not an invention of modern times either, although technology has facilitated its scope. Ancient peoples were practitioners of it, along with cannibalism and human sacrifices to gods, and it was often associated with rites of religious purity, as with the slaughter of the tribe of Amalek in the founding of the first Israel, when his faithful Israelite warriors were commanded to spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, even unto the seed thereof, along with their sheep and oxen, and blot out their very name from under the sun. Uh-oh, a knock upon the phone. About time, wasn't it? All right. Hello? What card? Oh, Rabbi Meir Kahane. You beat Hitler at Pinochle. Congrats, but you won't tell Pinochet. He's a great guy, and I know you don't want to upset him. What can I do for you today? Just a message to the viewers that Hitler had the right idea, only did it to the wrong people. So if you're the right people, then you're allowed to commit the ultimate crime against humanity. Okay. What? Don't try to figure it out. Just trust in God. And try the new credit line with 10.0 APR financing. Right.